Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and we're going to be taking calls for 2 hours today. The number to call is 1-800-229-3000. Grab an open line. The sooner you call in, the better of a chance you'll get on, that you can ask us your questions, and we'll be able to assist you. And answering your questions today, we've got clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton. How are you, Alice?
Well, I come off a moody family day yesterday, so I was using all my New Life tools and tricks and comfort circles. So shaking it off, those tools work, and getting back on track today.
Wow, she can do like a whole commercial for New Life. And Marc Cameron is here too. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist. What's going on with you, Marc?
I'm doing well.
Great. What's on your mind to start
What's on my
off?
mind? Okay, I want to talk about overcoming what masters us, and I want to start with the first commandment. So I think it's a little bit odd to me in the way it's worded, because it says, "You shall have no other gods before me." And the thing that I find odd is the "before me" part. Why didn't it just stop as "you should have no other gods"? Well, and that's because we all serve other things. And sometimes the things that we serve are obvious. It's addiction, or it's a romantic relationship that maybe is toxic, or it's money or possessions or fame. And other times it's a little bit more subtle. It's work, it's politics, it's anxiety or depression or codependency. And you might think that's funny to say, well, we serve them, but if it really dictates a lot of your life, then you're serving it. Or sometimes it's just wounds from the past, and things that we serve master us. They're our master. And every one of us carries a place of brokenness inside of us that we do serve, and we try and control it in our own strength by numbing or controlling others, or performing for acceptance, or trying to fix things. But our coping strategies only take us so far, and we eventually will hit crisis. And I heard someone say recently that before a crisis, there's usually a whisper in the back of our minds that we ignore, and then there's a tapping on our shoulder. We know we should address that we don't, and then it turns into problematic behavior, and then that eventually ends up in a crisis. And it's much better to go to therapy before you end up in a crisis, because if you go when you're in a crisis, then you got to learn how to manage the crisis as well as the problematic behavior that got you there in the first place. So if you're noticing a strain in your marriage or in your relationships or family, you feel just this unrest on the inside of yourself, ask yourself, what is mastering me? Now, healing's not passive. Whenever Jesus healed a person, that person either came to him as an act of faith, or he told them to take an act of faith. So he told a paralyzed man to pick up your mat and walk before the man got healed. Or there was a blind man, he said, go wash in a pool after he put mud on his eyes. And lepers, he said, go show yourself to the priests, before they ended up getting healed. And so our healing often takes place when we stop running from God and we choose to face what's mastering us, the thing that we're placed before God. And so when we can acknowledge these patterns in the pain, we can begin to trace the roots of our struggles and recognize how our unmet needs, unhealed trauma, and attachment wounds have shaped our lives. Now, faith and mental health, they're not in opposition. So prayer is powerful, but so is self-awareness, and that can make prayer so much more powerful. Scripture is life-giving, but so is therapy, and that can help you understand Scripture a lot more better. And God can speak through His Word, but He can also speak very directly to us through counselors. And so what's ever mastering you today doesn't have to keep mastering you. Surrender, give it to God. Healing's possible, and if you're stuck, give us a call.
Yes.
We can talk to you, and if you're not ready to be on the air, that's okay. You can still call us, and we can direct you to someone.
Yes, we would love to hear from you, and that's why we're going to keep the phone lines open for 2 hours today. 1-800-229-3000 is the number if you're facing addiction issues or brokenness or depression, anxiety. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Memorial Day is coming up in a week, and maybe you've got some memories in your mind that are keeping you up at night, or that you don't know how to dispose of. We would love to talk you through this. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you at 1-800-229-3000.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to intimacy in marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy in Marriage Workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy in Marriage Weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
So Marc Cameron just mentioned that if you're not ready to call us, that there's other ways that you can get your question to us, and that's true. You can go to our website, newlife.com/radio, and you'll see how to send us an email or a voicemail, but we really would like to talk to you. We're not scary people here. Well, I might be a little bit scary sometimes, but we would really love to talk to you about whatever it is you're struggling with. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today. And we've got some calls coming in, but really quick, I want to ask your guys' opinion on a conversation that I saw online recently between two guys, and they're fairly well-known gentlemen, and they were talking about relationships, and they were talking about men crying in front of their wives, and both of them were adamantly saying, no, men should never cry in front of their wives. The only excuse would be if it's grief or something, like if a close family member or friend or whatever, or just anything like that. But grieving is okay, but just crying over... They gave an example of if you're driving through the mountains and you get lost, and, you know, the wife, no offense, Alice, but the wife might start freaking out, panicking, whatever. But if the guy is the one who's freaking out and panicking, that is a no-no. So what would you guys say about that when it comes to crying in front of your wife?
I completely agree.
Okay.
If they don't want emotional intimacy, they should stay stoic. But if they want deep heart connection with their wives, when I get to see how women respond in a therapy session when men will let their guard down and be vulnerable about a given number of emotions, grief being one of them, but fear, hurt being another, I see a strengthening of the bond between the two. The women feel closer to their husbands when they get to see into their heart. They want more intimacy at all levels when their husband lets his guard down. So pick what kind of marriage you want and decide accordingly whether or not you reveal your emotions.
Yeah, that's good. Connection only happens through emotional intimacy, as Alice is saying. And so we have to be able to have emotions and display and show emotions and be vulnerable enough to do that, to have that connection happen. And now in our society, men are often socialized to not cry. And we're told, well, you know, that's a sign of weakness. And of course, I mean, the example that you gave was a pretty extreme example of someone being lost and so they cry. I mean, that's kind of what maybe a little boy would have that response. But somebody crying over something, a tender moment that happens, or a deep pain, as Alice is saying, that's where the connection really happens for folks.
It helped me to learn the biblical basis for this. And I think it's why the Bible shows us that Jesus cried. Because if he's the example, the utmost example of what a fully actualized human being can and should be like, he cried and he shared his tears and he asked people to support him when he was overwhelmed. And so that's the example for men. At the right time and place, he didn't break down all the time. He didn't break down very frequently, but he did sometimes, and he let people in.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about that passage, too, is Jesus knew that he was going to heal Lazarus right away. So he didn't say to Mary and Martha, ladies, don't worry, you know, settle down. It's going to be a happy day. He didn't. He cried with them first. He felt their pain. He connected with them, and then he healed Lazarus.
Yeah, so some of these guys might say, well, see, Jesus was grieving, so that's okay, but when it's something like, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't, it was a 2.5 hour conversation. This was only a 12-minute clip that was uploaded
But do you
to
grieve
YouTube.
when you don't have to grieve?
Do you grieve when you don't have to
Yeah,
grieve?
he didn't have to
Right.
grieve.
Right. True. That's true. Yeah. Good point.
And learning emotional regulation and when is the right time and place to cry versus we should also be strong. So it's a blend of the two.
Yeah.
We should develop character strength and resilience so that not everything sets us off into tears. And men especially, we need men's strength and we need their strength and vulnerability at times.
All right. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call if you've got a question for Mark or Alice today. We would love to hear from you. We're going to begin our time in Philadelphia with Bruni, who's listening on WBYN. Hi there, Bruni. Welcome to New Life Live.
Thank you for all your ministry. It helps me tremendously.
Oh.
I have a grandson that is living with me. He's 18, and he's a child with disability, developmentally delay and autistic. But since he turned 18 right now, the insurance that the mother used to have, it was from the government, so he's not into that anymore. And my question is, what would be better for me to put him in a private Christian like Samaritan ministry insurance, or I should ask for the government to assist him? I don't know too much about the government assisting him with, so which one I would not pay so much money? That's what I'm asking. Which one would you recommend?
It is a tough question because your funds are probably limited. You're caring for your grandson. So it's a complex question. Bruni, would you tell us a little bit more of the story? Why is your grandson living with you and what are his parents doing? How active are they in his life?
No father. The mother, they were with me the whole time, him and his sister. But last year, something happened in our lives that I lost a house and everything because of a divorce. So they went to live with their mom. So he's been living for 1 year now with his mom. But I rescued him with the police on Mother's Day because they were abusing him because of his disability. So that's the story of this. So he's back with me.
And because
And he's 18.
Mm-hmm.
He's 18, so I don't know now with all the new, he's his own person now and the insurance, all kind of stuff. So,
Bruni, you are a superhero grandmother. You've taken care of him multiple times and you just rescued him again? I can't quite fathom what that's like for you to face all this chaos in your family and then try to figure out with even decisions like insurance, now what do I do? Bruni, was there ever a social worker connected to your grandson in the past that you had access to?
well, when I rescued them before, they were little, like in 7, 6 years old. But they've been living with me all this time until now.
So did this ever go through a court system, or it was just a family agreement?
Everything was a court system, and the judge gave it to me because the judge realized they were in danger. But I couldn't go all the way this past year with all the loss of the house and divorce and all that stuff. So that's why I decided to send, thinking that they were going to be okay there. But it didn't happen.
Yeah, so that's, as Alice is saying, there's usually in child custody cases a social worker or someone who's assigned to you, and that might be a good person to tap into as a resource, because there may be other options available to you. Because typically there are things available for kids. They're called transitional age youth, between the ages of 18 to 24. So just because somebody becomes legally an adult doesn't mean that they completely lose access to all resources. And so checking in with the county or the state to see who the social worker was assigned, that person may be able to direct you to other resources.
Bruni, because he was abused and so recently, involving either adult protective services and or child protective services, and I would try for both because of his age and because of the diagnoses that he has. It should add into the resources that Mark is referring to. In California, one of our main centers for children and young adults with disabilities is called the Regional Center, and it's a government-funded program. And if there was a diagnosis previously, which it sounds like there was for your grandson, he's already in the system and can still continue to receive services. We may not be the best place to answer should you get this private Christian insurance or not, but look into it because there's a variety of different options available. Now, one of the concerns I have is that every case is considered on a case-by-case basis of whether or not the particular process that your grandson would be going through, the particular medical appointment, whether each one should be paid for. There's a long process to it. So call the different private Christian insurance companies, but also get the government funding side, because your grandson likely qualifies for you to get multiple access to multiple forms of help.
Also, you just told me that because he was in the system all the time because of the mother insurance and the welfare, that means that he's not out? Because she told me that he was out now automatically because he turned 18. So he's not out. He's still in the system.
I wouldn't go just based on what she said. I would double check, because we've had cases where people can remain in the system at a different level, but still remain in the system because of their diagnosis.
Yeah, and like Alice is saying, that he has a disability, so there should be extra resources available for him. But well done for advocating for him. I'm so glad he has a grandma like you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your advice.
How's your relationship with him, Bruni?
Oh, when they rescue him on Mother's Day, she keeps saying to the police that your grandmother doesn't want you, and he say, no, Mama want me, and then they called me, and then I went at nighttime and got him right away. Because they live 3 hours away from me, so now, he's with me, so.
Great.
Bernie, I just want to make sure you're getting support as well for you, for your mental health, because this is a heavy burden you've carried off and on over the years. And so if you don't have your own counseling or your own support group, you can let us connect you with someone in your area. You may know of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, where the family members of someone struggling with a diagnosis can receive support too, because you need to be fueled in order to have the energy and the wherewithal to keep fighting for your family. You're doing a marvelous job, and I just want you to get support as well.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and keep blessing people like you do all the time.
Oh, thank you, Bruni. That's very kind of you. We want to send you something from the newlife.com store. Any suggestions? I'm thinking either doing life with your adult children or understanding and loving your bonus child. What are your thoughts? Or something else?
Yeah, maybe doing life with your adult children, because that will help with her daughter too.
Okay, very good. We'll send that to you. Thank you for calling in today to New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000 is our number, and we'll continue with the phone calls now. Here is Esther calling in from Los Angeles and watching us on YouTube. So let's wave to Esther. Thank you for watching us today. How can we help you?
Hey, family. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, sister.
So good to hear y'all. Y'all are so amazing. I love you guys so much, and thank you for taking my question, and the honor to your platform.
Oh,
New
thank
Life
you.
And yes. Hey, I just had a quick question. It's really simple. It sounds simple, but really I bet tons of LA Angelinos are wondering the same question, yet alone Americans, and it's simple, but I'm just going to say it, so it's just going to come out, and if y'all just take it how it is, but how do I get plugged in to my local church? I know it seems simple, but it can be complicated for someone who are the unreached and the unreached Angelinos and people that are just maybe right out of Easter and just got saved at Easter. This is what I've been thinking about recently.
Is that you, Esther? Did you just get saved at Easter?
No, no, I got saved as a teenager.
Okay, and this question is really also for you because you're looking for a church. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, because I just got married, and I had a different church, and he has a different church, and so I'm like, should we start our own church? And that's what I'm thinking we should do, even though we don't have any Bible school education or theological training. But at the same time, I'm like, if Paul and Peter did it, and we're called the Acts Church of today, then I don't see why not. And if the Lord is calling you to full-time ministry, then it's his word over man's word and the fear of man. So this is what I feel in my heart, in my spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of churches in this area, in the Los Angeles County area, in the Orange County area. So we're blessed in that sense that there's a lot of places to pick from, and there's also a lot of big churches, and the reason why I say that is because typically bigger churches too, they have programs to get people connected. There's typically churches have a program called Rooted, and it's really a path to get new people plugged in and into a group, and they walk them through the basics. And another great way to get plugged in and connected into a church is to sign up to serve somewhere. Mm-hmm. That's a really good way to meet people, or looking at the men's groups or the women's groups or the MOPS groups, things like that. The churches have a lot of places where you can get plugged in it's just about finding the one that you feel like you connect with. Alice?
Esther, I want you to think about over the break, what might be the root causes of your hesitation or your question? For instance, was there any hurt that was perhaps caused because of your participation in a church community? But we'll get your answer after the break.
Yeah, we'll go to our break, come back in a couple of minutes to you, Esther, and everyone else. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. We would love to hear from you today. And if you watch us or listen to us regularly, please share us with your friends. Like Esther has, I'm sure. Tell people about New Life Live.
Early on, looking at pornography that went into affairs, massage parlors, strip clubs with buddies. Before you know it, you're ashamed of that.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
My wife got a phone call, and she asked me who this person was, and man, how do I get myself out of this one?
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle intensive.
When she said to me, I want you to look at this website named Every Man's Battle, she had me look, and I said, no, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly the problems I have, and I'm gonna go.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Denver, Colorado, June 6th through the 8th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Use the discount code NLL to save $50. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
And back to Esther, who's watching us in Los Angeles on YouTube. Esther, Alice asked you a question just before the break, and how would you respond?
Yes, sir, and yes, Dr. Benton. Okay, so I was thinking about it, and a lot of people. I'm going to speak for myself, not the church as a whole, but for myself, I do think that in relation to your question, and as far as I can see, I can tell that through looking at my church history and how I've jumped from church to church to church, right? Oh. I think most of that church hopping is due to people, not people. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say God was speaking to me through different ministers and pastors. Like, I started my journey in South Los Angeles in maybe 2021-ish, and I was under the covering of Church Home and Pastor Duda and Chelsea Smith, which are amazing pastors in the SoCal area. And so, yeah, I would say that, like, maybe the call to evangelism on my life and the evangelistic niche that I have as an evangelist, I can't, like, maybe that's why I, like, flock to different churches so that I can bring the herd to the correct church that I see that person going to or that I prophesy to, right? So that's how I would answer your question. to the best of my ability.
So you haven't hopped churches because of hurt. You've hopped churches because you're trying to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So you have really tried to discern what the Spirit has been asking of you for many years, and now it's on your heart to possibly start a church. And the churches you and your husband have been engaged in lately, have you been there for long, and do you have close relationship with your pastors?
We do. Yeah, my husband, Steven, so he is from the Dream Center LA, which is affiliated with Angelus Temple, and he has close relations with Pastor Matthew Barnett and the Serve team over in that area of Echo Park, so that area of Los Angeles. And then my spiritual covering would be, well, we're covered by my spiritual covering as well, which would be Mama T in Simi Valley, California, which is Spirit Life Church LA. And so that's more like prophetic, more like breaking bondages, breakthrough, and stuff like that. So one is more focused on service oriented, the homeless, the addicted, and then the other one is more focused on like also outreach for sure, but also more spiritual, like, hey, let's get to the bottom of let's see why you're not getting your breakthrough, even if you were addicted, homeless, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
so
right?
As you two are well grounded with your current church communities, but you have this dream to launch a church, if you have not yet run a small group, I would suggest starting in that sort of a format through the support of one of your churches you already attend, because I think that a good way to grow a new church, to plant a new church, is launching off of one that you already trust, where the leadership is willing to come alongside you and help train you up. You mentioned I don't have any training. And if God's calling you, he will equip you. But I think starting small under the leadership of your pastor with his full knowledge of what you're doing, so that you have that backing and that guidance.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to that here, Esther, is that it sounds like you've got a lot of mentors, people who know you. And so going to those folks, people who know you well, and asking them, what do they see your strengths are? Where do they see that you could fit in? Or how, where do they think that you are strong in ministry? And then seeing where they can support you, because the goal of the church is to grow. And so if you can have a church, you can start a church as an offshoot or have backing of someone else, you're more likely to have success because they're supporting you in that area. So I think what Alice is saying is good.
We appreciate your heart, and you obviously have spiritual fervor to go out and do whatever the Lord is asking. So we'll also be praying for you, Esther.
Yeah. But you are willing to start in a small group or something, right? Leading those, continuing to do that?
Whatever God is speaking to both Stephen and I. Right now, the only thing that we're plugged into, he's plugged into DC Fitness, which is the gym center at Dream Center, right? So if you want to work out, go there, right? Because they have a full basketball court as well, amen. But also, so cool, huh?
Well, no, the reason I'm asking this question, and we're coming up to our break here, but I just want to make sure because, and I'm not saying this is you, but a lot of people over the years who don't like the way a church is run, or they think, I can lead a better Sunday morning Bible study than that guy, or how come they're the ones in control? They're the lead pastor. I think I can do better. And people want to serve at a church. They will go to a church and they'll say, hey, pastor, I want to serve at the church here. Do you have something for me to do? And the pastor will say, oh, yes, we have the go teach the third grade Sunday school class. And they're like, no, I was hoping I could fill in for you next Sunday when you go on vacation. And so everybody wants to go for that, what they see as the
stage, right?
Glorious, yes, the stage, when they're not really ready for it.
You make me think that God tells us don't take that head seat at the table.
Yes.
But sit in the back of the room and you'll be raised up at the right time. So starting with humility, starting under authority, probably will protect the dream you have and keep you paced with God.
Yeah, and as God leads, he'll open the doors.
Yep. Very true. Got a resource from the store to send to us?
How people grow. If our pastors knew the information and how people grow, they would pastor better. So that'll equip you, Esther, as you help others.
All right, sounds good. How People Grow. That is available in the newlife.com store, and we're going to send a copy to Esther, and her husband Steve can read it as well. We will be right back with more of your questions here on New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. Rachel, you are coming up next, and everyone else, 1-800-229-3000.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
So it's hard enough having the talk with your children, talking about the birds and the bees, but how do you take it a step further and talk about sexual integrity with your kids? It's such a big topic that at Every Man's Battle, we did a 2-part episode of our podcast, and that second part of the conversation just released today. You can go find it wherever you get your podcasts. If you watch on YouTube, make sure to like and follow us to help other people find us as well. But yeah, quite the tricky conversation that needs to be navigated, so I'm sure the team did a really good job at it.
It's really guiding me recently in talking with my children and my 12-year-old son. And he's been telling me, oh, lust? I never heard of that word before. Sexual purity? Never heard that phrase before. And he really may not have. So what a wake-up call to me as a parent, to my husband and I, to make sure that we inform him appropriately. But so many children, they have heard some of these conversations before, but it hasn't taken root in their mind yet. And so we parents need to repeat. Every Young Man's Battle book and the Every Man's Battle podcast are so helpful in keeping us parents on our toes so that we're making sure we're guiding our children correctly and at the right age.
Yeah, this is such an important topic, and many teens get caught up in porn and sexual addiction, and just I see a lot of couples and almost all of them struggle in the area of sex in their marriage. And I know that I could have done such a better job at this, but I wasn't equipped. I mean, my daughter just turned 20, my son's about to turn 20, and I wish that I could do this part over again, because your kids are not just going to know about this stuff, and their comfort to be able to talk about it happens through the modeling of you being comfortable talking about it with them.
So again, go find that Every Man's Battle podcast wherever you get your podcasts, whatever your favorite platform is. Here now is Rachel, who is in Dallas, Texas, listening on KWRD. Hi there, Rachel. Thanks for calling in today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling in regards to my mom. There's two things that I don't understand about her. She is in her mid-80s, and she has lost all her siblings now, and she has this thing about not crying, not wanting to cry in front of people, and like even when we're watching TV, my sisters and my brothers, and there's something sad, and we're all crying except her, and she'll be like, "Why are you crying?" And to her, it's kind of strange for us to all be crying. And even when my dad died, at the moment that he died, she cried. But then after that, I never saw her cry again. And I don't know if it's tied to now she's been going through depression for several years. She's on medication, and she sleeps like till 12, 1, 2 o'clock during the day. And we've tried to get her to do volunteering, to go to the senior center. She did that for a little bit, and then she just stopped going. She's not motivated to really want to go out. But if we say, "Hey, Mom, you want to go wherever?" And she's like, "Yes," she's ready to go. But so I don't know. I'm just trying to understand her because it frustrates me.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like there's two things going on here. One, your mom could possibly be depressed, and then there's another part where you don't see a whole lot of emotion from your mom. What do you know about your mom's history with either messages or experiences that she got that where the message, either spoken or unspoken, was don't show emotions, don't cry?
I think her mother was somewhat like that also. I know there was a time at work I was telling her I was frustrated at work and I had started crying. She said, "Well, don't let anybody there see you crying." And I thought at that time that was strange for her to say that. So I don't know. It's
and her mother, did she grow up through the Depression or through a war?
I know my mother had a bad childhood because her father was an alcoholic and abusive. And but other than that, I don't know much. We were not close to her mother, even though her mother lived here in Dallas. We were not that close to her.
Yeah, so people who grow up detached from their emotions, Rachel, they form something called an avoidant attachment style. And that's your attachment style is the way that you learn to bond with your parents, and that shapes how you bond with others. And there's a style called an avoidant attachment style, and the message is given to the child is don't show emotions, don't cry, or become very independent, and they don't have anyone there to help them make sense of their feelings. And so that child learns to push their emotions down, they suppress them, and they separate themselves for them. And so then they may have an experience like you had, where you guys were crying at a movie and your mom's looking around at you and saying, "Why are you all crying?" Because she sees you crying, but she doesn't make the connections between what just happened and that evoking sadness and leading to crying happening. How did that impact you growing up?
Well, I guess I really, when my father passed away, she and I were there in the room. And because I'm the oldest of all the kids, I felt like I had to be strong for her. And since I didn't see her cry, I suppressed it myself. Yeah. And so last year, I started having issues. I went to a counselor. And so I'm learning now to also feel that grief and feel that pain, And so it's a process. I've joined a grief support group that's helped, and but even when we were kids, if we would fall or scrape our knees, she's, "Don't cry. Why are you crying?"
Yeah, and that's and somebody who's more avoidantly attached, they see crying as a weakness, And so not crying means I'm strong. Pulling it together, being independent, getting over it and moving on means I'm strong. And so that's the message that your mom probably got growing up and the message that she's given you. Before Alice jumps in here, here's what I would recommend doing with your mom is asking her to tell you some stories about growing up and her experience and and then to ask her, what did you feel in those moments, Mom? Wow. And then you demonstrate the empathy. Wow, that sounds like it was really hard. I can imagine you might have felt sad or overwhelmed or scared in that moment. And she may say, oh, no, I didn't. But it's a way to kind of plant a seed and get her to talk about it.
Yeah. Alice?
Rachel, when I learned the science behind tears and the biblical design behind tears, it changed my perspective. And I similarly thought, I want to be tough. I don't want to be messy in front of other people. I'm not going to cry. And then I found out that it seems as if God has built in the tears system because it cleans out the biotoxins produced by emotional stress and distress. And so when we let ourselves cry, it's a cleansing process. And when we let ourselves cry with people who love us, it's a bonding process. And we feel understood and we heal better. And you probably know that and buy into that. But most of the world doesn't seem to know it, which I think might be an attack of the enemy to keep us from the very healing process God built into our bodies. But we think crying, oh, that's for broken people, crazy people, or if I cry, I'm going to drown because I will lose emotional control and I will never regain it, which is just not true. Tears eventually help to metabolize those difficult emotions that we've been keeping in. So I agree with Mark. Asking your mom some of the stories of her life growing up can help you to understand her. And then I want you to try an exercise with her where you invite her to identify a high and a low of each day. What was the best thing? What was the worst thing? And then you might print out a list of emotional words or soul words, as one of our books, How We Love, calls it. And say, Mom, let's pick a word with how we felt with the best and a word with what emotion we felt with the worst. See if that will help her start to open up. But I hear a difficulty in trying to love your mom well is that she doesn't want to receive some of the things that you and your siblings are offering. She doesn't want to volunteer. She doesn't want to go to the senior center. So she may reject this good also. All we can really do is model, offer, pray, and then we have to let people say no to the good things that we know would serve them. But she has a right to say no. And then we grieve that disappointment. My mom's not accepting this.
But often in end of life, people want to, the focus becomes making sense of life stories. So that's where my direction on asking her stories. And then I love what Alice is saying about having a list of words to look at, because oftentimes we don't know what we're feeling if we're avoidant. But when we look at a word, it might prompt us to say, oh, I think I might be feeling that.
Isn't that list of words available on the How We Love's website?
It is. It's a freebie available. It's called The Soul Words.
The Soul Words. And it's howwelove.com. Thought so. And we'll also send Rachel a copy of the book, How We Love. Would that be the best resource? Okay.
That'd be great.
Very good. So Rachel, stay on the phone and we'll send that out to you. And we've got lots more calls coming up, but we're waiting for you to call in. 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be here for a total of 2 hours today in the studio. Give us a call.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our life. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022.
That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hey, we're in the middle of a matching gift challenge right now. $500,000 will be matched. So if you give $500, it becomes $1,000. If you give $5, it becomes $10. So whatever you can do, we are more than halfway there. We're trying to reach our goal by the end of this month. We have helped so many people over the past 37 years. We want to continue helping people for a lot longer than that. And we've got so much going on here. The radio program, podcasts, intensives, books, so much more, and you can help come alongside. People call in and say, I love that New Life helps so many people. Well, you know, you're helping too. Mm-hmm. You're the one. We can't do it without you. So give today. You can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com or text the word match to 28950. Here is Dane, who is in Tennessee, listening on WRJZ. Welcome to New Life Live. How can we help you today, Dane?
I was talking to the lady, and I really don't know. I'm 56 years old, and I'm alone. I was married at age 21 and married for 25 years, and my husband committed suicide, and that was in 2013. But then I had 5 brothers and sisters growing up. We were a very close family, and they're all passed away. My mom, my dad, everybody in my whole family has passed away except for one brother that lives in Myrtle Beach. And it's just like I'm just so overwhelmed, alone. I never ever wanted to be alone. I'm a retired nurse, disabled actually from autoimmune disease. But after my husband's suicide, I remarried 7 months after that, and to a nurse. And I was 7 years into the marriage, and I found out he was hooking up with other men. And I'm just about every single trauma that you can think of. My first, it's just, I'm so humiliated. I feel so worthless, inferior to everybody. I just don't know. And how I've been dealing with it is I started watching these shows about reselling and stuff, and I started collecting stuff because as a kid, that's how my mom kind of clothed all of us and stuff. And I don't know. I don't even know how to answer the question.
So you say you're collecting things. What kind of things? And are they like taking up your whole house or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mostly it's for like, I started, like I have some nieces and nephews in Kentucky, and I started saying, oh, they'll like this, they'll, trying to get that relationship, I guess, but, I don't hardly ever see them, but yes, it's got to the point where I'm not a hoarder. I could get rid of it,
But Dana, it makes sense to me that you're putting your time and energy into collecting these things, which maybe becomes a business. So maybe financially it becomes something profitable to you. But as you have lost almost everyone important to you, and then you were betrayed when you tried again in a second marriage, I think people have become utterly unsafe. Things are much safer than people. there's a lot more control over them, and they don't hurt you and they don't betray you like people do. Does it feel like, even though you have some connection with nieces and nephews, have you retreated from the social world around you?
I'm a born-again Christian, and I go to church, so I don't think so. You know, it's just like I don't want to go home, like, because I did get a dog last year, about 6 months ago, and he's brought me a lot of joy. He's right now, I'm pulled over on the side of the road, and he's whining, so if you hear that, that's what's going on. But no, I don't think I've withdrawn. I'm just so, I don't think there's any help for me.
Do you have kids, Dane?
No, me and my first husband had 3 miscarriages, and we never did have kids.
I'm so sorry. Dane, you've had so much loss in your life. I mean, not just with, your siblings and the loss of your marriage. You also lost your career because you retired from disability.
Right.
Yeah, and so it makes sense. My heart goes out to you. It makes sense why you feel so alone and lonely, and I think you're trying to find purpose, because even when you lose all of those folks, at least when you go to work, there's some socialization happening there, and you also have a sense of purpose too.
That's right.
I'm so sorry. Are there groups at your church? You mentioned being able to go to church and being around others. Are there groups that you can get involved in at your church? Do you know?
No, not really. I've been going there for about 4 months or so. Whenever I quit my job, I moved in with my sister because she had breast and brain cancer, and I took care of her. So our church that we went to, I had to move out of her house, when she died. But to answer your question, no, there's no groups that I know of. I mean, Sunday school, But.
Dane, you told us there's no help for me. And that is a solid belief in your mind. And I understand why. Because when you've lost almost everything, it doesn't seem like it could ever get better. It just seems like life has been getting worse and worse for years as you've lost all these loved ones. But Dane, I want to come against that belief that there's no help for me, because some part of you doesn't believe it because you called us. So there's some little bit of hope, even though things feel so black and you feel pretty powerless. Dane, I want you to know that grief and depression, loss and betrayal, they are treatable, but you have to be willing to keep fighting against this lie that there's no help for me. So we're coming towards the end of our program, but can you just briefly tell me, what is that little bit of hope that led you to call us today?
Christ. Jesus.
There you go.
I think about killing myself, but I can't because I don't want to go to hell.
Oh, you're depressed here, Dane. My heart really goes out to you here. Here's what I want us to help you do, is help you find a therapist. You need someone to be able to share these deep places of pain and share your story and be able to sort through it and make sense of it. And also, I think about getting around family too. It might seem a little bit extreme, but it seems like, a lot of your social connection is gone from where you're at right now. Could you move closer toward family? Is that a possibility?
My brother, the only family I have is my brother that's in Myrtle Beach, and he's retiring this year, and he's going to be moving up here part-time.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually living on his property as a caretaker. And
Dane, the answer to such a level of depression and suicide and loss, it is people, but it can't just be surface level relationship, hi, goodbye with people at church. It has to go much deeper, where you're doing with people exactly what you're doing with us. You're letting your guard down and saying, actually, I'm suicidal. I'm that depressed. So Dane, stay on the line, because we want to connect you with a counselor. Getting in with your doctor and getting medication for depression can help immensely as well, but people are the main answer, and we have both counselors and groups that we can help you find so that you can keep going deep like this, because that is where you'll find your hope again, and it's how Christ works. He meets us through other people, Dane. We're so glad you called.
Yeah, and even though it feels really hard right now, Dane, it can get better, okay? I want you to try and hold on to that. It can.
Dane, thank you for calling in today here on New Life Live. We're going to keep the phone lines open for another hour at 1-800-229-3000. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for praying for us. Thanks for praying for our listeners who call in and share their hearts with us. And that's why we do what we do here at New Life Live. There are so many hurting people out there, and they're just a phone call away from the help that they need. And we thank you for trusting us with your life and sharing these things with us. We'll be back in a little bit.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.